I'm Justin Harris. I own Troponin Nutrition. My last show was the 2007 USA's. I took ninth in the super heavies, and for the last 6 years I've been hidden away at Western Michigan University down in the basement, particle accelerator lab. Got my master's in physics, atomic physics, while I was there.
My name's Emmet Browne. I'm from Portage, Michigan. My last show was the NPC Michigan State, where I placed second in the heavyweight class. One-point decision. Also working for Troponin Nutrition under Justin. We just got that going back in April, and yeah.
All right, today we did arms. We kind of rotated between triceps and biceps. I like to do that. One exercise triceps, one exercise biceps. Just feel like it keeps you stronger through the workout, taking the break in between body parts. I always like the pump I get too. We started with rope press downs, just kind of light, just get some blood in the triceps. And then we moved to barbell curls with a camera bar, easy curl bar. I think we went up to hundreds there, nothing really spectacular. And then we went over to close grip bench press, and we did the close grip bench in a particular way we like to do, where you take your hands and you kind of turn them in almost the reverse of what you think, so almost so your index fingers are pointed towards each other. And you don't take a really close grip, kind of a medium in between bench and close grip. And then what I do, instead of keeping your elbows close to your sides like people always say to do, I actually kind of flare my elbows out, and I flare my lats like, for Emmet, we call it imaginary lat syndrome. For me, we just call it actual lat syndrome. But kind of flare your lats out with those elbows out. And what you do is then you kind of don't dip your elbows back, which, you know, if you dip your elbows back, your upper arm moves, which is actually going to activate the chest. If you keep your elbows high and out, and so your lower arm moves, that's actually going to activate the tricep. And we went up to about 315 there. How many reps did you get with that?
I got 15, and I'm guessing you got 16.
Yeah. He got 15. I'm pretty sure I got 16 on that. And then we went to dumbbell curls, right? Yeah. We were, again, pretty heavy on dumbbell curls. I think Emmet did the 70s. I did the 75s. No, they went a little too heavy. I think my ego, anyways, got the better of me there on the dumbbell curls. Nothing special on those, just kind of a basic power movement. I don't really like training biceps very much. I've just never been a fan. I like triceps. I get a great pump in my triceps. Biceps just kind of hurt. So usually to get motivated, I tend to do dumb things like try to lift too heavy. And then we went to overhead rope extensions. You want to explain how we do those?
So we do the overhead rope extensions actually in a way that I saw Justin do in a video. I believe it was back in 2006 or 2007. I've actually been doing them for a long time like this, but basically you start where you pull the rope apart at the bottom of the movement, kind of in your normal fashion, and then as you start to fatigue, you start to bring the rope, you pull it down close together, and then on the way back on the negative portion, you pull it apart. And then just to kind of finish it off and rep it out, you just keep it close together the whole time on both the positive and the negative portion of the movement.
Yeah, so it's almost like a triple drop set, because when you're starting out, you keep your hands apart and each arm is working separately. You really don't have any leverage, and then you're always stronger on the negative. So in the positive portion, once you start reaching failure, you put your hands together, get a little bit of leverage, and at the very end, just to pump them out and get kind of a pump, you keep your hands together the whole way. So I think it's probably the best tricep exercise there is as far as adding size to your triceps. I mean, it really hits the long head of your tricep, which is your triceps are probably 70% of your arm size, and then that long head is probably 70% of your tricep size. So I mean, that's really what makes a big arm. And then from there we went to hammer curls.
Dumbbell.
Yeah, dumbbell hammer curls. Again, went probably a little too heavy on those. I think we went with the hundreds. I did like a drop set. Went really heavy with the hundreds. Just kind of swung them up. Hope some of the girls in the room would notice how strong I was. None of them did. I think a couple of teenage boys might have, but and after hit failure with that, just jumped really quick to something a lot lighter, like 40-pound dumbbells, and go a little more strict. And when I went with the lighter dumbbell, what I do is kind of at the top, I kind of almost you do a literal hammer. I kind of fill my wrist up to kind of hit the brachioradialis in your forearm there. And then what do we do next?
And then we did a dip movement.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, we did a dip movement on the machine. We actually faced the opposite way on the machine. I just feel like it hits the tricep head a lot better. I think Justin did the inside grip. I did the front grip. I just feel like that position hits my tricep head really good. And then after that, I think we just finished off with some abs. Yeah.
Yeah, on the dips, I kind of try to turn them more into like a bench dip. We do dips a lot. I really like dips because I think it's a great exercise to kind of tie everything in together, hit a little bit of chest, a little bit of shoulders and triceps. And if you're doing them on chest day, you can, focus more on chest, but you still kind of get some blood into the shoulders and triceps. But dips for whatever reason really seem to hit my chest more than my triceps. So I kind of grabbed on the inner grip and almost turned my hands almost in reverse, more like almost like a bench dip. Emmet has a really small chest, and so his triceps overpower everything, so he probably had to use the other grip. But that was it. Then we just finished with some rope curls for abs, I guess.
Okay, so for both of you guys, what are future plans for you guys at this point?
Right now, for me, I don't know that I have future plans. I just started coming back. I mean, I started training again in April after literally about 6 years without ever stepping foot in the gym. I mean, I think in 2010 I trained for about 2 weeks, and then from 2010 to 2014 I didn't go to a gym a single time. So I mean, I'm having fun training again. I'm still way down in size. I think I'm not sure what you weigh today, Emmet? 253. Yeah, I think I'm about 254 right now. Still coming back in size. I'm toying with the idea of maybe doing Masters Nationals next year, over 35. That's kind of a strange feeling for me because the last show I did in 2007, I was 27, just turned 28. I was still the young guy, but after a 6-year hiatus, now I'm the old guy. So I'm toying with the idea of doing Masters Nationals. I'm still coming back. I'm still having fun training, still gaining size. I'll see where it goes. Right now, the goal is I'd like to get Emmet up to 270 this offseason and have him make a run at a state title as a super heavy, and then I think he could be a legitimate contender at the national level as a super heavy. And so that's I think as long as if we can get him to do that, and I'm training alongside with him, my motivation stays high. I think next year Masters Nationals is a definite possibility.
As far as my future plans, I'm thinking probably the Grand Rapids or the Michigan next year to start off in May. Hopefully get my first state show win, and then go on to junior nationals and compete either at the top of the heavyweight class or the bottom of the super heavies. I've had a really good rebound from the show, and with Justin helping me, I feel like I'm going to have a really good off season. I've been trying out some different dieting protocols. Carb cycling is something new that I'm doing, and we're trying out some different intra-workout stuff right now, testing it out. I feel like it's made a big difference as far as just adding more lean body mass during my rebound and keeping me leaner than I've been in the past. So
yeah, as far as hopefully this will be on the market before too long. So the cyclodextrins, the highly branched cyclodextrins, have been all the rage, I guess, since I've been gone. Well, I think there's a couple things that have kind of hovered around the mark, I guess, so to say, of what their potential is. But we've been reading into them and doing some research, and I think there's some benefits of the actual structure. Specifically, what we'll be using is a toroidal-shaped gamma cyclodextrin. I don't want to say too much. That basically will be used to bind amino acids, and then kind of in this shake we're going to have a high molecular weight carbohydrate with that toroidal-shaped cyclodextrin, a special kind that we're still working on the bulk pricing and whether or not we'll be able to produce it. But it's a large enough. It's an 8-ring structure, large enough to bind some of the specific triggers of protein synthesis, like leucine, L-leucine, which is if you ever had like a hydrolyzed protein shake or any gritty branched chain amino acid shake, that kind of grittiness doesn't go away or that bitterness doesn't go away. And that's because they're not fully getting bound into the cyclodextrin. And so those highly branched cyclodextrins that have that high molecular weight are getting into the gut and going into the bloodstream quickly. But those low molecular weight amino acids with that bitter taste, they're sitting around still in the gut and not getting into the bloodstream at the same time, which is, you want those sugars and that insulin spike in the bloodstream at the same time you have those triggers for protein synthesis. As we know, insulin doesn't technically trigger protein synthesis. Insulin triggers the uptake of the amino acids, but it's those specific branched chain amino acids that trigger that protein synthesis. And if we don't have those bound to the high molecular weight carbohydrate, you're not getting that at the same time. And I think we have something that I'm really excited about, but I think it's something that's going to bind them together. And that's one of the things we've been working on with Emmet. Now, we took some photos of him posing, and he's already, what you weigh at your show?
205.
Yeah, so he's already 50 pounds heavier than his show. 50 pounds heavier than his show. And you can see he's still fairly lean, fairly off-season lean at that size. And you can see, as a 205 heavyweight just 6 weeks ago, you can see what he looks like now. I think his fullness is really impressive, and I'm excited to see what we can do with the whole off-season. And
Our recovery's going a lot better.
yeah, he stopped whining after the workouts about how sore he is, or can't get out of bed. Or he's actually, he's putting on some good size.
Do you have a name for him, bud?
Don't have a name yet. I'm trying. I always try it because Troponin Nutrition. We had Anatrope, we had Cognotrope. I'm trying to Metabotrope. I don't want to go with Glycotrope or Glycotropin because everyone's done the Glyco. I thought maybe Hydrotrope, Gammatrope, because we have this. I almost don't want to give the name of the specific cyclodextrin. Cyclodextrins have been the big thing lately, and if anyone knows, what I've been talking about lately is how cyclodextrins are actually what Febreze is, and that's first thing because I've been like I said, I've been down in particle accelerator lab. I don't even get phone reception on there. I've been following what the new supplements are. When I left, it was the high molecular weight carbohydrates, and now it's the highly branched cyclodextrins, which are still a high molecular weight carbohydrate. They take a high molecular weight carbohydrate, and through an enzymatic reaction, it kind of folds around itself. Well, as soon as I heard cyclodextrins, my first thought was Febreze. That's the way cyclodextrins work, is they basically form into the shape of a cone. And the way Febreze works is that cone is hydrophobic on the inside, hydrophilic on the outside. And so the stink gets trapped inside the cyclodextrin, and that's why you Febreze and forget it. And later on, when you wash it, that reverses that hydrophobic, hydrophilic. The stink gets pulled out of the cyclodextrin, the stink goes away. Well, I've kind of been... I don't think that aspect of the cyclodextrins has been utilized good enough as far as the whole high molecular weight mixed with the low molecular weight amino acids, and that's something we're trying to do with this. And so I guess as far as the name, if I could combine all those concepts into a name that also included trope, that would be the name, but that's not quite there yet.
Okay, Justin, so I've been doing this. Let's see, I came into the industry at 2009, and you've kind of been like the Michigan unicorn of bodybuilding since I came into the industry. And I have heard, nothing but good things about you and how intense you were, and what an amazing bodybuilder you were. Can you go into details about what happened or what happened that took you away from the sport for a while?
It's kind of a mix of factors, and it's not really one, I guess, that stands out. I was having health issues, but not health issues as far as very confusing. I had these weird fevers and just really, really beat down. I'd get diagnosed with rhabdomyolysis, multiple myopathies, neuropathies, and just something was like my body was just wrecked. And I used, at first, I was probably looking at it like a badge of honor, like I'm training so hard that my body's just breaking down. But then eventually, through more blood tests and stuff, we'd find that my ANA, anti-nuclear antibody, would be just sky high, which shows autoimmune disease. And so at one point I got diagnosed with lupus. Another doctor said, I didn't think I had that. Another doctor said, you have every sign of lupus, but I don't think you have lupus. Like I said, another doctor diagnosed me with all these various myopathies. Another one diagnosed me with multiple neuropathies and various spinal issues. But through it all, I had some weird autoimmune thing. And eventually, I guess I still don't know exactly what it is. I know autoimmune disease run in my family. My oldest daughter's a type 1 diabetic, which is an autoimmune disease. Your body, by autoimmune, I mean it's like self-immunity. Your body decides something that's supposed to be normal and healthy in your body. All of a sudden, your body decides it's a foreign body and it has to kill it. So it sends out your immune system to destroy that particular thing. And my daughter, type 1 diabetic, the beta cells and the islets of Langerhans in the pancreas that produce the insulin, the body decides those beta cells are a foreign body and kills them off. My mother had sarcoidosis, which is a autoimmune disease that affects the eyes and the GI tract. My grandmother had celiac disease, and another family member with colitis, and just various autoimmune type things. And I think it's probably some hereditary relation to that. I still never got an answer. Got tired of figuring out the answer. Basically what happens is when I work out and the inflammation and the delayed onset muscle soreness and things that happen in my body, my body decides that a lot of that is a foreign body that needs to be destroyed. And so I basically get flu-like symptoms. And it started out like years ago. After a very hard leg workout, I'd wake up the next day and have a fever, and I just called it a leg fever. Like I was almost proud of myself for training so hard. But it just got to the point where, I mean, at the end, I'd train and I'd barely make it through the workout before I'd start falling asleep. I'd drive home, throw up halfway home, and then pass out for half an hour when I got home. But that was part of it. I mean, if it had been 5 years earlier when I was still highly motivated, I'm sure I would have just found a way to train through it. But another part of it was I was really into the science and into science in general, and I was getting very frustrated on internet forums and I guess where you'd pose an argument that would just, you'd pose the science, and your science would be correct, but then someone else might argue they disagree with it. Well, they wouldn't have the science. And the problem is, on internet forums, and this is just the way things are, it's not a big deal. A lot of the people reading, they don't know the science either, and so they don't know who's right or who's wrong. And so if you get in an argument or something about that, what ends up happening is the readers decide, I guess, who the winner of the argument was by who was willing to yell the loudest and the longest. And a lot of times it would just get frustrating. I remember one specific time I wrote an article on gamma-linolenic acid as a metabolic uncoupler for Browne adipose tissue in humans, and I tried to get it published by an online site, and they refused to publish it as too theoretical. And this is 2007, and I was proud of this article. Well, the problem is Browne adipose tissue. That's why your dog, why he doesn't have to wear a coat in the winter, is because animals have that active Browne adipose tissue. They activate that through a metabolic uncoupling, and it doesn't produce energy, usable energy. It just produces energy as heat, and it helps keep them warm. Well, they thought that wasn't very active in humans. I argued otherwise, and I argued for gamma-linolenic acid as an uncoupler of that. This magazine or this online site wouldn't publish it. Well, this is 2007. Turns out in 2009, I found out later, Discover magazine listed the discovery of active Browne adipose tissue in humans as one of the top 100 discoveries in science for 2009. And so I wrote about that in 2007. So I was like, things like that were just frustrating to me. And so I think I just had kind of an early midlife crisis and decided I wanted to go back to school. And I thought, well, what's the hardest science? And by hard, I don't mean difficult. I mean like pure as in proof-oriented, logic-based. I thought, well, mathematics, and physics. And so I started out in going back to school, and I started out just in pure math classes, and then eventually moved to physics. And at this time, I was still training, but I guess at one point in around late 2008, I did the APF Michigan Powerlifting Championships in March of 2008. And not long after that, I remember I was driving to the gym and just decided halfway there that I didn't want to train that day. Turned around, went home, which is something I never, ever did. I never missed a training session ever. And I literally didn't go back to the gym for more or less for 6 years. I mean, for 2 years, I didn't go back a single time. Then I went and I started trying to train literally maybe 2 weeks. I think I actually saw Emmet in the gym during that time at Western Michigan. But then for those 6 years, I didn't train. And I went back to school for like I said, for physics. I started out mostly math. Ended up taking some graduate courses in mathematics. Like I took a topology course, advanced differential equations, mathematical physics. But I ended up deciding to go into physics grad school, and then I went with atomic physics, and all the way up until this spring. And then I submitted a thesis in April, and I guess it was almost like the same switch that flipped. Once that was over, I didn't have that thing to focus on. And I woke up one morning about a week after submitting my thesis and decided I wanted to work out again. And I guess just like that, I was fully back into it, love training again. And so for right now, I'm just enjoying training for the first time in a long time.
And you have a family now.
Yes. Yeah. So, my during that whole time period, my wife graduated from dental school. She's now a dentist. We have 3 children. Our youngest is Amelia. She's 5. Celia is 7, and Lydia is 9. And in my Project Super Heavyweight video, it's crazy to look back, but Celia was a newborn at the time. I think she makes a brief entry, and Lydia was just a baby, a 2-year-old at the time. But I mean, Lydia is a 9-year-old. She's a full kid now. She's not like she plays on her iPod and they're actually having a sleepover with a couple friends tonight. So